Her watch is broken. The radio is dying. The convoy is already moving. She fixes the comms in silence. Then a SEAL lieutenant steps forward, salutes, and every voice in the room disappears. Mia Carter knows the cheap watch on her wrist is lying. It says 02:17. It has said 02:17 since the blast last month. The glass is spidered. The second hand is bent like a question. It ticks only when she breathes. It stops when she holds her breath. She keeps it anyway. She wears it because the crack catches light like a tiny map. It reminds her time can fail and you can still move. The forward station is a concrete box someone once called a warehouse. Dust drifts from the rafters. The power purrs like a tired cat. Wind pushes grit through a split door. You can smell engine oil and old coffee. An empty wallet sits in her top pocket, flat as paper. Food chits are gone. Payday feels distant. It reminds her to spend words carefully. On the table, a rack of radios that look normal until the screens blink wrong. Green, then nothing. Blue, then nothing. A little twitch like a nerve in a cheek. She does not announce herself. She does not ask for space. She pulls her chair close and opens the lid of the main HF set. The lid creaks and the screws tap the metal. She curls her fingers around the pen light. Red beam. Low. She cups it with her palm so the light is more heat than color. She works in a hush. Wires are veins. Solder is blood. Her breath is a metronome the watch cannot match. Her CO wants the long-range link up by dawn. A convoy needs it. 3 vehicles. 1 med case unstable. They need weather, road status, deconfliction. A safe slot across the corridor that turns mean when factions wake. Without comms, the convoy is a rumor on a dusty road. Mia touches a scorched corner of the board. There's shrapnel pockmarks in the casing from the rocket that fell 2 nights ago. A fuse went, but that is not the whole story. The board looks disturbed. Something's off that isn't impact. She slides the board out 1/2 inch, sees a hair-thin jumper that isn't factory. It crosses a trace and ties into ground. It looks careless but deliberate. Her stomach goes tight. A field implant, not sabotage that burns, sabotage that listens. She checks the band scope on a passive sniffer. There, a shallow comb at the edge of their reserve frequency. Someone is grazing their channel like a hand across tall grass. The red beam finds a cold solder that's been reheated. Whoever did this had time. They were patient. They wanted her to fix the obvious burn and leave the ear inside. She hears boots on gravel outside, not hurried, measured. Someone stops by the split door and breathes out as if to count down. Mia freezes, watch frozen with her, and the power hum seems to lean toward the sound as the latch begins to turn. The latch lifts. Her hand finds the empty wallet and slides it over the loose screws like a coaster. The wallet is light and soft from years. It hides the shine of metal. The door opens a crack. Cold night air slips in. A shadow crosses the floor, long then gone. The door closes again. No footsteps. Only the wind. Only the power hum. Mia exhales. The watch tries to tick, fails. She smiles at that. She pulls the board free, traces silkscreen. Little islands of solder like silver lakes. The added jumper is not just a bridge. It is a hook. It steals tiny phase shifts. It can turn a secure link into a note with the envelope already opened. She needs a strand finer than wire. She needs a nerve. She pops the back of the broken watch. A sliver of copper spring shivers under the case. She slides it out with the tip of a blade. It is the length of a lash. She lays that spring across a cracked trace like a stitch. Solder. Breathe. Count. No shake. Her fingers know this like muscles know stairs. Outside, the wind carries a breath of diesel. The convoy is awake somewhere far off. Engines murmuring. Men checking straps. Someone arguing low. The dusty road is already swallowing the night. Her passive sniffer murmurs. That comb again. Closer now. It isn't crude. It hops with them. It reads their habits. She writes a new habit. Manual spread spectrum. Old trick. Human tempo. She programs a hop pattern tied to the most random clock she has. Not the system oscillator. Not GPS time. Not even her own breath. She ties it to the watch. A nonsense clock. A wounded heart. The second-hand's failures become a seed. She switches to a ghost whip antenna inside the room. Less gain, less reach. Less chance the night will hear them. She whispers to the steel rack like it can listen. Don't be pretty. Just be true, the display wakes. Green, not proud, steady. The test tone is clean for a heartbeat, then a burr. She watches the bandscope. The comb tries to grab. It misses again. Catches nothing but air. She moves to the VHF relay. Checks the buffer. Someone used it as a notepad. A ghost packet sits in memory, coordinates, a time. 5 minutes from now. Right on the roof above them. She kills the buffer and wipes the scratch space. Her wallet hides the screws. Her watch gives the clock. The dusty road pulls a picture in her head of 3 vehicles hitting first light, like fish in quick water. Her CO appears in the doorway with his shoulders hunched against the cold. He says her name like he's protecting it. Status? She says, not proud. But he nods. He does not ask about the way she says it. He trusts the tone. He tells her the convoy is already rolling. They need her link in 30 seconds for a burst. Route, weather, surface status, cross-corridor window, threat board. She nods once. She doesn't look away from the bandscope. The comb flares again. Closer still. Mia knows that feeling. It's the breath at your neck when you thought you were alone. She keys the transmitter for 3 seconds only. Low power. Hushed. She routes the burst through a pattern that looks like static to anyone not holding her seed. The speaker clicks. A whisper of confirmation. Then the back wall just above the conduit grows a tiny red bead the size of a seed. It climbs across the cinder block, measured, patient. It touches the rack like a finger. The red dot holds there, steady as a slow heartbeat as a voice in her headset says, "Hold transmission. Now." She cuts power. Der Linz falls like sand. The red bead lingers on the rack, then slides to the floor. It stops on the watch she set down by the screwdriver. It paints the cracked glass bright. Then it vanishes. Laser, her CO breathes. "Window?" "No," Mia says. Vent, she pulls the bench back a little. She doesn't crouch. She doesn't stand tall. She becomes less interesting than the rack. Her CO wants to abort. She shakes her head. "We gave them a taste. They'll expect a second bite. Let's feed them wrong." He does not argue. He moves so the floor doesn't squeak. Gives her 10 seconds. She programs a decoy hop on the dead buffer channel. A route to nowhere. A pretty little lie for anyone chasing her pattern. Then she points a coat hanger stub through the vent mesh and tips the laser mirror someone taped inside. She breaks their glance. Her sniffer declares an angry cluster of signals across the far band. The comb tears at empty space. It bites the decoy. Mia lets it chew. She breathes once. Keys the real burst at knee power. It slips out sideways. Quiet. Ugly. True. Far away, the convoy answers with a 30-millisecond pulse. Not words. Just life. A weather cell collapses east. A roadblock lifts. An unlit crane arm across the corridor is moved by a man with no idea he saved strangers. Almost dawn. The dusty road turns from ink to iron filings. It holds tracks. It tells stories. Mia wipes sweat from her lip. Her empty wallet warms under her palm like a small animal. She thinks of the street where she grew up. She thinks of the bus she missed the day her mother left. She thinks of how radios carry voices farther than cars carry bodies. Her CO touches his ear. Hire wants a status push, full, before first light. She looks at the vent. At the mirror. At the place where a beam might return. No voice, she says. Burst only, then dark. We move. She builds a report without adjectives, positions, hops, delays, threats. She adds one thing that is not on the form. A note about the board implant. A thing that listens. The kind of thing that sends flowers to funerals. She loads it, keys, sends 3 seconds. Then dead again. Her watch tries to tick, it fails. She loves it for that. Outside, an engine stops. Not their generator. A vehicle. Another starts and moves slow. Gravel speaks in a low language about weight. Mia kills the bench light. The room goes gray. Her eyes go soft. She listens with skin, footsteps, 2 sets. Then 3. Not their own. The pause between steps is wrong, too even. Men who practice. Her CO mouths, back exit. She shakes her head. She points up. Roof access? She smiles without humor. Less shoes go up. They climb into old air. The ladder is warm from the day it stored heat. The roof is a sheet of grit that remembers storms. From up here, the dusty road is a ribbon. The convoy is small moving dots. One limps. One drags a shadow. She tucks the broken watch into her palm. She feels the bend in the second hand through the glass. Voices below. Quiet, foreign words. Someone laughs once. A short cough of sound like it hurts him to smile. Her CO gestures to the far stairwell. Mia shakes her head again. She points at an old crane beam that leans out over the alley. It's not a path. It's an idea. They crawl on their stomachs. Her wallet falls out. It slides to the lip of the roof like it wants to jump. She stops it with her finger. She looks at it. She thinks about how it used to be heavy. She puts it in her back pocket and writes a mental note. Never put the last useful thing on an edge. The alley below is a bowl of shadow. A figure moves in it, slow, checking angles. A rifle points at questions. Mia keys her chest mic once. No voice, a click for distance. Another for timing. Her CO clicks back, they swing onto the beam. It creaks like a door in an old house. They freeze. The figure below stops, looks up. Mia feels the beam flex under her ribs. She keeps moving like a thought, try not to think. From the east, the sky bleeds a thin band of color. Blue before blue. Her watch wants to say row 217. It says nothing, they make the far ledge. Drop into a stairwell that smells like old rope. Down 2 flights. Left into an office that still has calendars from a year that never happened. Her sniffer purrs with new signals. Not the comb. Clean, clipped bursts in a pattern she learned in school and never thought she'd hear for her. Naval Special Warfare, a rescue element. Call sign buried in the tone like a signature in a painting. Her headset warms. A voice calm and measured arrives with breakfast calm. Blue element to isolated station. Authentication to follow. She almost smiles. She almost cries. Instead, she checks the code string. 1 digit off. 1 close enough for a movie. Wrong enough for a funeral. Stand by, she whispers to the quiet air, and to her CO and to her own shaking hands. Do not respond. Not yet. The voice repeats the sequence, slow, patient, certain of its welcome. Outside, boots change places. Shadows lengthen by folding away. The next word in her ear is compromised, not from the voice, from her own head. And then the vent on the far wall exhales dust as someone on the other side draws a breath in. Mia closes her eyes and builds a loop. She runs the wrong digit through systems she trusts and men she doesn't. Close is how a thief knocks. Close is how a mimic learns your laugh. She needs proof without voice. She needs a hand that can hold heat and not burn. She reaches for the VHF repeater battery pack. It's warm, still good. She peels the sticker from her empty wallet. It's brittle. She wraps it around the battery like a collar and writes with a blunt pencil. Echo, Freck, Decoy. She tapes a wire to it and slides the pack under the vent grate. 2 clicks on her mic. Her CO knows the code. He nods. He holds the door. He counts in his head. The battery sits where a hand from the other side can touch it, if the hand belongs to someone patient enough to unscrew a vent quietly. She wants their hand to reach. She wants it to move the wire. She wants to hear the pattern of someone confident enough to do wrong well. The vent whispers. A screw turns, 1, 2, 3, the grate tips. A gloved finger slides in and finds the wire. The wire goes taut and says hello to her sniffer in a bright, polite tone. She watches the band scope. The wrong digit voice returns in her ear. Blue element authentication, final. Green path cleared. Prepare to move, the vent hand shifts. The wire chirps an acknowledgement pulse at the exact wrong time for a real team. There it is, the echo of an echo. The mimic inside the wall. She plugs a shorting bar into the old crane control socket and turns the factory siren to dead, not silence. A hole where sound should be. Anyone who knows the building would hear it. Anyone who doesn't would not. She points at the east corner. Her CO nods. They move. The stairwell drops them into an alley where trash has turned into small theology. Plastic bags kneel in corners. A glass bottle bows. The dusty road beyond is bright now. Footprints shout. Mia sets a tiny transmitter under a car frame. It coughs a burst on the wrong pattern. 2 seconds later, 3 men turn that way. They glide. They hold rifles like they are holding long thoughts. Her CO looks at her like he's measuring a stranger and a daughter at once. Go. They go. At the end of the alley, a chain-link fence leans like a tired guard. Her watch snags on it and holds a heartbeat. It tears free. A new scratch across old glass. Time fails again. She thanks it for trying. The real team finds them in a dry lot behind a forgotten mill. Not loud, not fancy. 4 figures. Gear that fits like teeth. Their eyes are calm. The lead steps forward. Lieutenant, bars darken so they don't glare. He keeps his rifle down. He says Mia's name without asking for it. He gives the real code with the right last digit, and the pause that comes from men who practice when no one is clapping. She lowers her shoulders. She raises her guard. Both. Your burst was ugly, the lieutenant says, almost approving. And true, Mia answers. He nods once. They move by twos toward a secondary building where a helicopter ghost will come low and brief. The sky is actual blue now. Birds write small jokes no one reads. In the hall, a door stands ajar. On the floor inside, someone has left a child's metal lunchbox with a faded cartoon. The latch is up. The lid breathes in and out as the building inhales and exhales. She does not touch it. She leaves it for the man with the long spoon and the steady hands. The lieutenant glances at her gear. What did you fix? Everything that mattered, she says. And the thing inside it. He looks at her a beat longer. He understands there's a story she will tell if he puts a chair down and listens. He doesn't. Not yet. He says 2 minutes, roof. Then he turns to his radio man. They murmur in a language made of clipped sounds and agreed-upon silences. On the stairs, Mia feels the empty wallet tap her ribs. She pulls it out. She slides a spare blade under the spine. She presses until leather shows white lines. She is making a pocket for a key she doesn't own yet. At the roof hatch, light cracks her eyes. The helicopter's noise comes in pieces like a message from a drowned world. It dips low. It breathes dust up. It makes the dusty road try to be a sky. They crouch. They move. They do not run. The doorman waves them into the belly of the bird, and the smell is rubber and hydraulic prayer. The lieutenant stays on the roof to count heads and promise the building it will never see them again. The wind from the rotor lifts his sleeve. For a second, his wristwatch flashes. 'Tis the twin of Mia's, same cheap face, unbroken, ticking like it owes someone money. He climbs in last. He looks at her the way people look at bridges before they drive across. He opens his mouth to say something that people remember. Before he can, the pilot's voice cuts in, tight and high. Heat bloom. Rear stairwell, close. Mia turns. The stairwell mouth at the far corner is a square of night and day. A figure is there. Very still, rifle up. Muzzle flicks once like a heartbeat. A single round snaps air past her cheek and the world jerks sideways as the lieutenant lunges. Light and dust explode. Metal rings. A seatbelt bites her hip. Someone laughs once. A laugh that is actually a swear. The shooter drops in the stairwell as 3 disciplined answers meet him. The helicopter lifts 2 feet, then thinks better, then lifts 10 more. It tilts, it straightens. It threads its way through air as if the sky itself is a hallway full of furniture. The lieutenant is on the deck. A groove cut in his sleeve, skin beneath grazed and red. He taps the wound with 2 fingers like he is checking if it belongs to him. He nods, accepting that it does. Mia's hands shake for the first time. Not when she soldered by breath. Not when the laser counted her screws. Now, after. The bird runs the low valley and draws a line to the bigger base where rooms are white, and coffee is brown and men and women write on glass. She expects noise. She expects cheers. She expects a story to begin telling itself. Instead, quiet. They file into a briefing room with plastic chairs and a stained map that shows only roads that matter to people who don't live here. The med tech checks the lieutenant's arm. 3 stitches, tape, her CO sits. He is not small, but the chair makes him so. He looks at her with eyes that are not finished with the night. Then the door opens for a new man. No armor now, a cover. A polite authority that rides on his shoulders the way some men carry jackets. Same lieutenant, different light. He stands in front of them, and the room does not know how to be a room. It tilts toward him. He looks at Mia first. He does not make a speech. He does not say her name the way people do when rooms are watching. He steps forward 1 pace, heels set, shoulders square. He brings his hand up in a clean line, palm angled just so. He salutes. It is simple. It is long enough to be sure and short enough to be right. No flutter. He holds it for breath you can count. Every chair leans. Every whisper dies. The world shrinks to the angle of his hand, and the face of a woman with a broken watch and solder on her skin. She returns the salute without thinking about what it means to do that with grease under your nails. Her hand is steady. It feels like a wire held just above melting. When he lowers his hand, the room stays quiet. The quiet is not empty. It is recognition that does not need to clap. He says, "Outstanding work, Specialist Carter. You kept people alive." The sentence sits in the air like hardware that fits. She nods because nodding is cheaper than speaking. Her watch tries to tick. It fails in her pocket. Someone in the back coughs. The projector warms. A screen lights with traces and blocks and a line that looks like a river that lost its way. "Playback," the text says. Her burst roots appear, ugly and true. The lieutenant points at the comb her sniffer drew in quick anger. "That where?" "In our walls," she says. "In our habits," he nods. He points at the wrong digit string. She explains. Hands move. Pen scratch. A problem grows arms and then loses them. They're 7 minutes into cleaning the night into language when a new chart appears. A timestamp she knows. Frequency that was hers. A voice. Her voice, coordinates, the speakers say. "Authentication. Window." Her throat closes. Her CO sits forward so fast his chair squeaks. The room turns its head as if it shares a neck. "Pause," the lieutenant says. The audio freezes. He looks at Mia. He is not angry. He is building a bridge with his eyes.